Hi, my name is Darius. Today I wanted to talk about a very specific subject. A couple of weeks ago, Man Carrying Thing did a video about a new reoccurring trend on YouTube of people kind of recording themselves and saying that I'm 20 something, I'm 30 something, I have no friends, I have no bitches, and I'm a failure. And I wanted to talk about that. I like the cozy nature of these types of videos because it's just one person like sitting in front of their camera, their phone. They're even recording on their phone. It's not even like a professional setup. And then you have their bed behind them and a messy bedroom and all of that. It's very funny. It's very, it's very human. And I like that about it. And I mostly want to touch on the psychological aspect of what leads a person into thinking themselves as a failure, especially when it comes to the term failure, because I think that it's either getting misused a lot or the fact that it gets used a lot it's indicative of some underlying things that I want to touch on. To be completely honest with you, I have no idea when was the last time or the first time I've ever used the term failure for anything. It's because I really don't believe in it. Failure is such a definitive type of expression where when you say something is a failure or I am a failure, you're kind of indicating that there's no redeeming quality to it, that this thing is said and done and I have failed and there's no fixing it, which I kind of disagree for the vast majority of, if not almost every single case. Because the way that I see it, you're 20 something, you're 30 something. I'm not even going to touch on how like young of an age that is, even when you don't have friends. Like I'm 23 and I have only like one best friend. And I know that my friend circle is incredibly limited. Like I know a lot of people, but I don't have that many best friends. I have only one. But I never call that, I would never consider anything a failure because the fact that you realize that you've made mistakes, the fact that you realize that you could have done better, and the fact that you realize that you are discontent with the decisions that you've made, with how your life went the way that it did, whether it was by your choice or not, that is the first step into the exact opposite lane of failure. In my opinion, you're succeeding at that point. I don't really care if you're like 37 and you have no friends. The moment that you realize that, the way that I see it, you've already succeeded because it took you 20, 30 years or however long it did to realize what you've been doing wrong. And late is better than never. I really don't think that there's anything such as failure because anything can just work out at the end. Not to mention that a lot of people, and I'm genuinely saying this, are kind of stupid and they judge themselves too harshly for things that were completely out of their control. There are very few things that we have direct control over and we can make direct choices for so that we can be held accountable to those things. But in my own experience with the so many people I've talked throughout the years, because I'm a very like social person, even though I have little friends, I love talking to people. I love getting personal. I love like all of that shit, right? The way that I see them judge themselves and the way that I see people judge themselves, especially in these videos, is as if they had total control. Oh, how could I not know this very particular specific set of information when I was like 7, when I was like 10, when I was like 15, when I was 20? Like it really doesn't matter the age because, oh, you're 20 something, you should have known better. Or how could you make this mistake at this age? Like, are you stupid or something? Making mistakes have nothing to do with your age or when you make them. Everyone makes mistakes all the time. There are those types of information that we know in theory. Like obviously everyone knows what is the right thing to do at any time in theory, but when it comes to practice is completely different. When you actually apply those things in real life or you see real life equivalent of those things, then you go, oh, so that's why they say X. That's why they say do this when you do that. You get what I'm saying? I feel like a lot of people, when they come to judging themselves, people either blame themselves too harshly or they say that, no, it wasn't my fault, but life still fucked me up. Like shit happened to me that had nothing to do with me. It was a completely unfair and uncontrollable situation, but life still did fuck me up. And there's no fixing what I've went through and there's no redeeming my life. So I'm a failure and I failed. That is no better of a perspective to have, even though that you're not blaming yourself. You're still adopting this idea that, well, there's nothing you can do about it. You're condemning yourself to failure because you're already judging your situation in a way that completely nullifies any idea or concept of you making positive change. And genuinely speaking, I think that's just way too cruel of a thing to do to yourself. I think you need to be much more fair to your own situation and to be more flexible. Another point that I'm trying to get across is that people have struggled identifying and recognizing what they are. They don't know whether they are a success or failure. So they see that they haven't been able to achieve the things that they want, or they compare themselves with other people and they do the wrong thing, which is jumping into conclusions. And even though that they're in real life, if you go ahead and talk to them, if you go ahead and see their kind of position and situation, it's not that bad, but they'll jump into conclusion to say that they are a failure, even though that when you measure their life, they're actually in a decent place. They just have to work a little bit harder in the areas that they want to succeed in. So calling yourself a failure brings a sigh of relief, because at least you're something, as opposed to being in this limbo of you don't know whether you're a success or a failure. You just go ahead and call yourself a failure because it's the easiest thing to do. But again, it's a self-defeatist attitude, because once you call yourself a failure, there's no improving your life, and you shouldn't do that. In my opinion, the way that you should go about it is to appreciate the fact about yourself that at least you're recognizing that things should have been better, and treat yourself justly. Don't blame yourself for something that was outside of your power, even though that you made that decision. We're not this all-knowing being that we can have like access to specific information that can have detrimental like effect on our lives in the future. I've made so many mistakes just like simply being too stupid in the moment when I make a decision, or not having the right amount of information, or not having the right type of people consult me over them. It's not my fault. And it's not your fault. Like, be fair to yourself. Like, you're not a failure. You're especially not a failure when you're recognizing it. That's how I see it. Which leads me to my main point today. You're not a failure. You're work in progress. The biggest problem with expressions like failure or success is that both of them are definitive expressions, and they force you to adopt this perspective of there can only be two options. You can either be a success or you can be a failure. But once you become one of these things, you can no longer become anything else, and there is no in between either of these options. So the moment you become a failure, you can no longer become a success. And the moment you become a success, you can no longer be a failure. And even some people even have a worse perspective than this. They say that, oh, you can go from success to failure, but not from failure to success. So like, you see how binding this perspective is, like how negatively it can impact your day-to-day life. Because when you see things like this, a success can never make a mistake. So if you make a mistake, then you must be a failure. And when you are a failure, you can never become success. So there is no point in trying. There is no point in improving, because you're a failure. But when you see yourself as a work in progress and your life as a journey, that's when you're allowed to make mistakes. You open windows to so many different opportunities and possibilities. You're not just going to end your entire journey here by calling yourself a failure. A progress is allowed to make mistakes because it will make up for them. You will see things analytically and judge things fairly and say, these are the things that I can improve upon, and then you improve them. So when you say that you don't have any friends, I go, well, you have a whole life ahead of you, and social skills are something that can always be improved upon. And they always do, regardless of whether you attempt it or not. You always kind of get better at talking with people and making friends. Unless if it's something like financial or like physical, and in terms of your health, that is a lot harder to recover. Like, I get that, but the vast majority of these videos that I watch are complaining about, like, I'm 36 and I graduated my university and I have no friends. I'm like, you can always find friends. You just have to be courageous enough. You just have to be confident enough. And the journey of building that confidence, of building that character, of your personality and improving it, that is the fun part. The fun part isn't necessarily finding the friends, is when you realize that you've gotten better at it. I don't know about you, but I love improving and shit. Like, I'm a very naturally curious person. Whenever I realize, hey, I got better at this. Like, I thought that I will forget about this, but I actually remember this time. I think to myself, that's dope as fuck. Like, I don't know about you, but that's the kind of mentality that I think you should have. The type of mentality that allows you to make mistakes and cherishes the lessons that you can learn from them and apply them into your day-to-day life. Adopting that type of perspective that allows you to make mistakes and learn from them and just in general improve your life, that is the best thing possible. Because it's only then when you realize that the road to success is way more fun and engaging than already being successful. Like, this is scientifically even proven. Like, I don't even have to talk much about it. Like, you already intuitively know what I'm saying is true. So adopt that type of perspective that allows you to grow and to get better, because the process of improvement is very fun. So yeah, you're not a failure. You're a work in progress. So think about it like that, because it always goes back to your mentality and how you see things. So adapt the perspective that allows you to be the most flexible and to improve the most. Don't call yourself a failure. Don't be a fucking retard and be overly harsh on yourself and overly critical on yourself. There's shit ton of stuff that is out of your control, shit ton of stuff that is in your control. See what's what and make the best improvement. That's all I can say to you. So yeah, I just felt like making this video. I don't even yeah. Watch my other videos. Like and subscribe. Go fuck yourself too.
You say slow down. I don't like to move too fast. It drowns the truth with things that are not real, and I really want us to be real with love that lasts. In the past I messed up, gave too much.